Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the American Red Cross of Virginia's Help Can't Wait 2021 event. My name is Jasmine Turner, and it really is my pleasure to welcome you to today's celebration where we will be recognizing community heroes from across Virginia. Over the last 5 years or so working with NBC 12 in Richmond, I have been able to help share the stories of those who have gone out into the community near and far to help with disaster relief, those who have donated blood, those who have helped run blood drives. And really, it has just been a beautiful experience to see service and heart service in action through sharing the stories of the American Red Cross. And I have to give a special shout out to Jonathan McNamara, who makes it all happen for us, who works with members of the press to make sure those stories can be told. But the mission of the American Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and generosity of donors. This is accomplished through the steadfast commitment to 7 fundamental principles: humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. And along with Red Cross staff, the extensive corps of Red Cross volunteers prioritizes the organization's 5 core values each and every day. Those core values to be compassionate, collaborative, creative, credible, and committed. An exceptional embodiment of these values is the CEO of the National American Red Cross, Ms. Gail McGovern. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to her now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gail McGovern, and I have the privilege of serving as President and CEO of the American Red Cross. I truly wish I could be spending time with all of you in person, but I'm still delighted for the opportunity to connect with you virtually and to share a great big thank you for your remarkable commitment to the Red Cross and those we serve. As we all know, this past year has been filled with so many challenges for our nation and for the world. But when I think about this difficult time, I am filled with gratitude for the extraordinary volunteers, employees, donors, and community partners who empowered the Red Cross to be able to fulfill our mission every day. The COVID-19 pandemic did not change our mission, but it certainly did force us to quickly change the way we deliver our mission. I'm proud to say that just like we've done for the past 140 years, the Red Cross rose to the challenge. When disasters like hurricanes, wildfires, and tornadoes displaced families, we quickly pivoted to having people stay in hotels so we could minimize the risk of transmitting COVID. When schools and businesses closed at the beginning of the pandemic, thousands of blood drives were canceled, and we quickly forged new partnerships with hotels, sports venues, and the like, so that we could host socially distant drives in large spaces. We also adopted strict safety protocols to protect the health of our blood donors, our volunteers, and our employees. Not only did we safely meet our nation's demand for blood, we took on a new role of collecting and distributing convalescent plasma from people who fully recovered from COVID-19. And this antibody-rich plasma was used to help patients who were battling the deadly virus. Of course, we also continued our work to provide comfort and care to the members of the U.S. military, our veterans, and their families. I'm the wife of a Vietnam vet, the daughter of a World War II vet, and the proud mom of an active duty airman. So this part of our mission has a special place in my heart. And I am so proud of how we've been able to carry out our work. Instead of working in large call centers, our dedicated Red Crossers are now handling emergency calls from their homes. And we quickly pivoted many of our support offerings for our military members and their families to virtual workshops. Like the other parts of our mission, we've adapted how we teach life-saving courses like CPR and first aid. In addition to smaller class sizes, we're delivering training online. And around the globe, we continue to help other Red Cross and Red Crescent societies with our data and technical expertise to help combat the spread of the virus. All of this life-saving work is only possible because of people like you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your steadfast and generous support of the Red Cross mission. Now more than ever, our nation and the world need the American Red Cross. Thank you for transforming your compassion into action to help people in need. And please enjoy this special program, and I hope to see you all again in person very soon. Thank you.
And as you thank the community, we thank you, Gail. How fortunate the Red Cross is to have such a compassionate leader at the helm. And it is an honor, as I said before, to be here with you this morning, even virtually. And now it is an honor to introduce you to your Virginia Regional Chief Executive, Mr. James Hatcher III.
Thank you, Jasmine. We're really appreciative of your support this morning. We love working with you and with Channel 12. On behalf of the American Red Cross in the Virginia region, let me also give a heartfelt thanks to everyone who has joined us this morning. Reflecting on these past 12 months or so, the tendency is to talk a lot about the unprecedented nature of events, to focus on the record number of named storms. There were 30, storms that made landfall, 12, the devastating wildfires in the West, the derecho in Iowa, flooding in Kentucky, and most recently, the civil unrest in our nation's capital and ongoing immigration events at our southern border. Adding to the complexity of this past year, all of our actions and responses have been carried out under the stringent health and safety protocols made necessary by COVID-19. But my thoughts this morning turn less to what has been different in this past year and more to what has remained the same. The mission, the fundamental principles, and the core values that have guided the Red Cross for 140 years still guide us today. Now, more than ever, the continuing and steadfast compassion and generosity of our volunteers and donors is critical, allowing us to respond to the needs of others around the world, across the country, and down the street. I'm so proud of what the American Red Cross has accomplished, all because of the dedication, commitment, investments, and passion each of you brings to our mission. Let me take a moment to offer a direct thank you to a few of our community partners who make our work possible. Owens & Minor, Carter Bank and Trust, Mr. Michael Quillen, and Merrill Lynch. Let me also give a special thank you to Dominion Energy, Altria, and CarMax, who not only support our everyday mission activities, but participate in our most significant national partnership as annual disaster giving program members. Their generosity supports our readiness and responses across the country, anywhere and everywhere that the Red Cross is needed. Thank you to Paul and Cheatham, Charlie Martin, and Kristen Kaplan, who coordinate those partnerships with such kindness and generosity. The ongoing generous support of all of our donors has had a direct and meaningful impact on the residents of Virginia. During the most recent fiscal year, which began July 1st, 2020, our disaster cycle services team has responded to 926 individual local disasters, assisting over 1,300 families in their darkest hour. This has included 1,150 individual children and 353 seniors. We have installed almost 1,000 free smoke alarms in homes across Virginia, bringing the total number of alarms installed since 2014 to more than 29,000. Think about that, 29,000 free smoke alarms installed in at-risk communities as a direct result of the generosity and efforts of our donors, our local partners, and Virginia Region volunteers. We trained nearly 54,000 people in life-saving techniques this year, all while maintaining the proper safety protocols related to COVID-19. Our incredible Service to Armed Forces team has provided nearly 17,000 individual services for military members and their families. If that wasn't enough, our blood services team in Virginia has continued to operate without pause throughout the pandemic. As Virginia's primary source providing blood and blood products to hospitals across the Commonwealth, this team of dedicated professionals has remained on the front lines and collected a staggering 130,000 blood donations from volunteer donors. The blood collected so far this year has the potential to save up to 390,000 lives. I need to offer a personal thank you the Red Cross Virginia region staff, and the more than 2,200 volunteers who recommitted themselves to our fundamental and core values. Their compassion, collaboration, creativity, credibility, and commitment to serving others in their time of need is truly unmatched. And one final thank you. I have to offer a special appreciation to our Chief Development Officer, Shira Turner, her incredible fundraising team, and the Virginia Region Executive Directors for orchestrating this morning's event. In closing, let me say that I'm proud to lead this team of dedicated humanitarians, to call them coworkers, to call them peers, and to call them friends. I thank each of you for your hard work and dedicated compassion for others. And now, Jasmine, back to you.
Thank you so much, James. And what a wonderful reminder of the important work of the American Red Cross and all the people that it takes to serve communities in need. One of those important people is our keynote speaker for this morning. And it's my pleasure to introduce you all to Mr. Trevor Riggin. Trevor serves as the Senior Vice President of Disaster Cycle Services for the entire National American Red Cross. In this role, Trevor is accountable for staffing, logistics, operations and information management, and situational awareness. He is also responsible for planning, implementing, and managing scalable relief operations to meet the direct needs of disaster clients for all domestic events, including those in the U.S. territories of Guam, the United States Virgin Islands, and American Samoa, as well as the Commonwealths of Puerto Rico and the Northern Mariana Islands. He works closely with the Division Disaster Executives in ensuring the American Red Cross meets the needs of disaster clients, assists in their recovery, and provides support for preparedness activities. Thank you for being with us this morning, Trevor.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's great to be here. And before I begin, I just want to say a special thank you to James and the entire Virginia team for the Red Cross. When COVID hit just over a year ago, when we started to see the impact, we couldn't stop. Our mission couldn't take a break. We couldn't pause the work we were doing, and people like the team in Virginia made that work. They adapted so rapidly to make sure we were delivering services for disaster clients, but also collecting blood and engaging volunteers and donors to make sure we were ready for the big disaster season we had ahead of us. So just a huge thanks to that team and to all of you who've joined and all of you who've supported the Red Cross. You've what's made it possible for us to have the impact we've had this past year. So I did have a couple slides we'll put up here, and I just want to walk you through a few things in a few minutes here. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is, as James said, we've had quite a year. And there are so many numbers, and if there's one word in 2020 that I'm tired of hearing, it's unprecedented. That term has been used and used and used again, and many times you'd say it's overused, but for the past 12 to 14 months, I'd say it probably wasn't used enough, and just the meaning became lost because everything we were facing was unprecedented. And you can see the numbers on this slide. You can see the 30 named storms, the millions of acres that were burned along the West Coast, 83 large-scale disasters were responded to. And this map here shows all the billion-dollar disasters that we faced across the country. 22, a new record in the U.S., a record we don't like to see. The previous record was 17. But the real story is 2030. So when we look ahead and we take this number and say, okay, what does this look like in the next 10 years? Our analysis tells us that by 2030, last year will be the average. That pace of disasters we're facing across our country, the intensity we were facing, will be the norm in just 10 short years. And so for the Red Cross, we have to be more ready than ever to take that on. And then down at the bottom are the things maybe we didn't have plans for, things we didn't have on the shelf, but things we also responded to. COVID-19 obviously played a huge role in our work this year, but so did the civil unrest we faced across the country, and even the election violence we saw. The Red Cross was there. We adapted and changed our mission to do that. What you don't see on this slide, though, are all the disasters that don't make the news. The nearly 60,000 house fires and multifamily fires that strike every single day, 200 times a day. Teams of Red Crossers show up when families need us the most. And in the middle of COVID, they needed us even more. And I'll share a little bit more about the intersection of some of those needs, but our teams just adapted and kept delivering service through all this. We can go to the next slide. So just quickly, this slide just speaks to the shift of climate emergencies and climate change. And we have seen the true effects of climate change every single day in our mission. We see it in wildfires, we see it in hurricanes, we see it in floods, we see it in storms like the derecho in the Midwest. Disasters happening where they traditionally haven't happened, seasons becoming longer and longer. In fact, this year, hurricane season is actually projected to begin May 15th. A full half month earlier than usual, and the estimates are that in 10 years that season will be 60 days longer than it traditionally has been. And you can see there on those maps, even in the West today, much earlier than usual, we have extreme drought conditions in much of the Southwest, and already seeing advanced wildfire activity, which traditionally doesn't happen until later in the summer. And so this pace of disasters has become something that's shifted our work from being a response to acute events that we would see every few months and large disasters every few years to a chronic condition in our communities. A chronic pace of impact and trauma that those communities are facing, especially vulnerable communities, every single day. There's really no longer a before a disaster, there's just between. And so the work of the Red Cross to make sure our communities are better prepared, but also make sure they're better aware of the risk we'll be facing today and the increasing risk we'll face tomorrow. And all of this just points to one thing: more Red Cross. Our mission is needed now more than ever. Our innovation is needed now more than ever, and your support is needed now more than ever to make sure we can take on each of these new challenges. Go to the next slide. So much what I just shared was really focused on response, responding to these big disasters, being ready to do that. But I don't want to leave out preparedness, and I'm sure you've all heard the story of the parable of boiling a frog and how it just, if you do it slowly, they won't notice. And in some ways, that's what's happening in the disaster world to all of us. We're getting so normalized to risk. So many disasters happening every single month across the country. And as I said, every single one seems to be unprecedented. Every single flood seems to be a 1,000-year flood. Every hurricane is one that's a different nuance than we've ever seen before. And we become numb to that risk, and we maybe stop paying attention to the need to be prepared because it seems so overwhelming. And so this is a charge I would take to each of you on the call this morning. Don't ignore this risk, and don't think that it has to be something so grand that it's unattainable. But start with yourselves. I do this with my own family. It's a simple conversation, on a regular basis. A simple conversation with your family about what would we do should something happen, and think about the risks that are different today versus yesterday. Think how COVID's impacted that. Think of where you would go to stay. How would you make those adaptations in your own life to face the increasing risk of disaster? Go to the next slide, please. And then in recovery, so I've talked a little bit about response, preparedness, and preparedness. This is recovery. And I think this is where the Red Cross is going to be most needed over the next 10 years. How do we help our communities recover from these disasters? The image on the left is just the increasing pace of disasters. That red line is that exponential growth of billion-dollar disasters we're seeing. On the right, though, is the income disparity we're seeing in our communities at the same time, and that shift in the haves and have-nots all across our country. And those two parallel lines are increasing at similar rates at similar time. And that's impacting our communities. When disaster happens, it's not just the disaster. So many members of our communities, the vulnerable populations within our communities, are already walking that tightrope of poverty, that tightrope of homelessness, the tightrope of not having the right health care or education. And you move in a natural disaster or even a house fire on top of that, and all of a sudden they're falling off that tightrope. And so we are very focused on how do we make sure our recovery services, our casework, our mental health services, the programs we offer are there to help catch families as they struggle to stay on that tightrope, and hopefully we can get them back on a path to recovery. But this image here is one that I look at as this is where the Red Cross needs to grow to make sure we're ready to help families as their needs get more and more extreme. The next slide. So very quickly, I just wanted to share a few things we're looking at as far as success, and only focus on 3 of these. The first one's equity. When things get harder, we have to focus on the things that are most desperately needed, and equity is the word that I'm focused on right now in our organization. How do we make sure we're serving those that need us the most first and fastest? Everyone needs some level of help, but there are those in our communities that need more help. They're starting at a different place. They're starting on that tightrope or even off that tightrope. And so we're very focused on providing equitable service to those that need us the most, and we're adapting to do that every single day, using technology and community partnerships to identify more need in the community and identify where we need to be first. The second one is presence. It goes to where we serve. We have to be present. Even in a COVID environment, we learned very quickly the Red Cross needs to be in the community, and we need to be present where the need is. And your resources help make that possible. And the last one is capacity building. We have to be bigger. We have to keep growing our capacity. We have to keep engaging volunteers and donors and making sure we put that first in everything we do. We go to the last slide, please. So I'll wrap up and just say thank you. Thank you for your support. In my, I just met my 15-year goal with the American Red Cross, and over that 15 years, perhaps the most inspiring part of our mission has been the way it's supported. And as Jasmine said at the beginning of the call, our mission statement, the Red Cross is here to alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. That's how we do it. Mobilizing the power of great humanitarians, our volunteers and staff that make this mission real every single day, the generosity of donors like those on today's call. You make us able, you build that capacity to make sure we can deliver service to those that need us. So whether you're giving financially or you're putting on that red vest or maybe both, you're the reason we're able to serve in such a powerful way, and I'm so grateful for what you do to make the Red Cross mission real every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trevor. And if you are inspired, as I am after hearing Trevor speak, you can look to the left of your screen where you will see donation options. Those options will be available throughout the remainder of the morning. If you're viewing this from a mobile device, you'll need to exit full screen and then scroll below the video to make a donation. You can also text Red Cross VA to 76278 or visit redcross.org/help can't wait. You can also donate by scanning that QR code you see on the bottom of your screen. Just open the camera on your smartphone, hold that device over the QR code so it's clearly visible within your smartphone screen, and then tap the banner that will appear to access the donation options. We want to once again thank each and every one of you who's logged in this morning, and thank all of the Red Cross community partners and sponsors of today's event, including Waco, Summit Information Systems, Pacific Life, Mr. Lawrence Page, Langley Federal Credit Union, SS Express, Columbia Gas, CarMax, VCU, Altria, Merrill Lynch, Dominion Energy, Mr. Michael Quillen, Carter Bank and Trust, and Owens and Minor. Your partnership is exceptional. And here is Kim Simon, Vice President and Marketing Officer from our lead event partner, Carter Bank and Trust, to share why their company supports the mission of the American Red Cross. And as we get that video up again, as we've continued to hear about all of the amazing work the Red Cross has done, in just a few minutes, we will be transitioning into those local chapter breakouts. So there you'll be able to hear from leadership and some celebration of community heroes, and you will have the option to hear from different folks from Richmond, Norfolk, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, or Roanoke. So again, just getting you all prepared for those chapter breakout sessions. I will go through the directions in just a few moments so you know where to go and what you're going to be doing, but I know breakouts will be excellent. So now let's hear from Carter Bank and Trust.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Simon, and I'm a marketing officer at Carter Bank and Trust. I'm both excited and honored for our bank to partner with the American Red Cross for the entire 2021 calendar year, starting with the Help Can't Wait campaign. Since our bank's founding in 1974, Carter Bank and Trust has prided itself in our commitment and service to both the communities and the people we are privileged to serve. through the product offering designed to support all financial need, to supporting local nonprofit organizations through our Care Forward campaign. Carter Bank and Trust strives to be more than just a bank to everyone. The American Red Cross was selected by our bank as a charity partner based on its commitment to all people and all communities. The American Red Cross has a long tradition of helping and caring for all people in need. On behalf of all the employees at Carter Bank and Trust, we are thrilled to partner with the American Red Cross and look forward to playing a small role in the success of Help Can't Wait campaign.
Thank you so much. And now it is actually time to hear from your local chapter leadership. This is the moment where we get to celebrate the people in our community who make such a difference. So again, you'll be hearing from either Richmond, Norfolk, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, or Roanoke chapter leaders. And to access that chapter breakout session, just click on the appropriate chapter button that's located in the information bar on the left of your screen. If you are watching the main stage program, which we're in right now, from your cell phone, you may need to actually exit full screen and scroll below to find the chapter breakout options. But you can also click back to homepage in the upper left corner and locate the chapter buttons on the event homepage. We thank you all so much again for joining us this morning, and I hope that you enjoy the next portion of the event, which starts in just a minute.